First video in a long time, but I just had a customer call me while I was on the way to their house.
Take a slight left turn onto State Route 27 West.
I'm only 5 minutes away, but he called me to tell me that he thinks the problem is his boiler is carbonized, and he said that he's licensed, but he can't do the work because he's not home. So I guess we'll see what it is. If it's carbonized, I guess I'm gonna have to get everything to clean out the boiler, but if it's not, I guess we'll figure out what it is.
Everybody's doing it, I don't know what they're doing. I can see you too clean, you don't do that kind of work.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, it's a pretty clean day, so.
Damn, I say I'm too good. And he tell me this stuff. You don't clean. Really? What the? Really? The only reason I'm feeling to do it today is because the baby is freezing. I got a young baby. And I don't want my tenant call 311 for me, man. Spend like over $2,000 already.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's why I had to turn it off.
That is bad. Let's see.
You're burning the wire.
I couldn't really record anymore because she started flipping out at me, and I confirmed, you know, I gave her the pricing and the work involved to clean the boiler and figure out the problem, and she called her son, who was kind of trying to figure the whole thing out. She said the price was too high. He said, yeah, that's too high. We definitely don't need to spend more than an hour there, and all this stuff. She started calling other plumbers for pricing, started screaming at me, so I confirmed whether or not she wanted to schedule it. She said no, very aggressively, and I asked her for payment for the time today, because I had to drive out there, and I spent 30 minutes there. I spent 10 minutes outside waiting for them to just answer the door, and she started screaming, refused to pay. So I told her to have a nice day and walked out the door, and she started to throw things at me. Good morning. I am on my way to a Navien NCB 180E that the customer has to keep resetting. I was there a week ago and I contacted Navien, and the condensate pump wasn't draining, which they said was causing the issue. But the condensate pump would just overflow onto the ground. It wasn't backing up all the way into the unit, but they said that they couldn't give me the parts under warranty unless it happens again. So then I contacted Navien over the weekend because it happened again, and they said that now they're not going to do anything under warranty because the warranty is expired, because the unit was swapped out within a month of when it was installed. So they told me it was under warranty, and now they're saying that it's not under warranty, so we're probably going to have to replace the pressure switch because the error is blocked air vent, exhaust vent. So I'm going to take apart the combustion blower just to make sure, to see if it's dirty or anything like that, because it did test okay. It was spinning at the proper RPMs and the voltage was what it was supposed to be. So the only other possible causes are that pressure switch or the inducer motor is just really dirty. So I guess we'll see what it is when we get there, and I'll record what the blower looks like and everything that's going to be inside of it. So here's our unit. They had reset it so there was no current error code, but looking through the history, there were a few more error 110s. I'm going to be taking apart the unit so I can get to the inducer motor and see the condition of that, and I'm also going to be replacing the pressure switch, which is in this bucket. and the customer has a new expansion tank to swap out this one because the system is also overpressurizing, and she didn't want to get one through our company. So here we have the Venturi. I disconnected the main PCB, dropped it down, and it's just 2 screws right here, 4 screws here. Now I'm gonna have to do this screw right here, and I should be able to wiggle the inducer motor out, disconnect the electrical too, obviously. And for the motor, inducer motor, it's this one screw here, and then you have to get this little clip out, which I'm gonna have to pry a little bit with the screwdriver. And there we go, it's loose. So now I should be able to hold the motor up. It is. It's a little bit hard to see, but I did pull the cover off, and if I shine a flashlight inside, I'm able to see that it's not dirty or clogged up in there. It doesn't want to focus, but and then here's the inducer motor, which is not dirty at all. It's fairly clean inside. Now, as soon as I removed this damper, it wasn't like this completely, but once I touched it, it began to crumble. So I am gonna see if I have this and replace that. But it does look good, the inducer motor and the inside. I know that the venting is clear, because if I pour water down it, it does come back down to the condensate pump. And that was obviously Navien's main worry, but condensate pump has been replaced, so now it is pumping the condensate. This is that pressure switch, I believe, that I'm going to be swapping out. So I didn't have a new one, and I am putting the old one back in, but I removed the damper part because the technician I spoke with at Navien said that I could do that last time I spoke with him. And now I'm just going to loosen up those 2 screws, disconnect that pressure switch, and get the new one in. Now I am purging the system of air because I replaced that expansion tank, which I couldn't get vertical, and I asked the homeowner about trying to make it straight, but she said it was fine like this. It's pretty close to vertical, and it's in a crawl space and nobody's looking at it. The homeowner just wanted the part changed out. She doesn't want to have to do anymore, have me spend any more time here than I have to. So letting the air purge out, letting the system do its little air purge cycle, since there are no ports to purge from. But I'm working with this so I can close off the return, and it's pumping through the supply. And since this is closed, the return water is coming through here. But I don't have a feeder that I can feed with at my own pace, so I have to wait for the unit to feed itself. So it's taking a little bit of time. So I'm all finished up. The unit is 22 psi. It's heating. All the radiators are hot. It's circulating. It's condensing. So everything looks good, and the customer should be good and free of errors, so they won't have to reset their boiler every night anymore. Now to collect payment and move on to the next. So I'm at an RTU, and I wasn't really going to record, so I didn't record anything in the beginning, but the complaint was no heat. And when I came up here, it kept trying to light, and you could smell the gas, but it wasn't lighting. And one time it did light, the rest of the times it kept trying and it wasn't. So I just pulled all of the burner tubes out, and I cleaned them. They were all filled with tons and tons of rust. I just brushed this all out. I'll vacuum that up. I'm gonna vacuum the inside a little bit, but I'm pretty sure this heat exchanger is also gonna be cracked, so I'm gonna shut the unit down because it's lighting up fine, no problem. It's 5 times lit with no issues. You can see there's some wires that are like melted here. not sure why that is. My guess is either a short happened at some point or it's getting too hot around this area. You can see all this rust that's happening. So I'm gonna clean up this and check out that heat exchanger. I'm gonna kill the unit because I don't want to be dumping carbon monoxide into the space if that's what's happening. So I'll open up the unit and see if I can see the heat exchanger and show you. Okay, so I got the cover off and this is the heat exchanger, and you could see all these little circles are pinholes. You could see through them. It's kind of hard to tell on camera. And then you got those over there, which I'm not sure that those are full-on holes yet, but you do have these little pinholes all throughout the heat exchanger. And of course I can't get a good view on it, but it's going down the whole seam of it, where it's not a complete hole, but there's holes throughout that little rust seam. So I'm gonna have to let him know that he needs a new heat exchanger. You could see a lot of actual cracks right there, which aren't huge, but there's still cracks, and that's exhaust gases being sent down into the building. Now this right here is actually the other side of this heat exchanger, and well, it's not really sending anything into the air, that's dumping exhaust gases into through here. So this guy's definitely gonna need to have some work done on his unit, but at least the heat starts now. So I buttoned up the unit. I did clean up a little bit of the rust. Didn't go crazy because I'm on a roof, but I called Johnstone to see if I can get the parts, pricing on the parts. Heat exchanger alone is over $1,000, so this is definitely going to be a costly repair. Definitely need to replace that plate, which is called the inducer burner support plate or something like that, and I'm sure that's going to be a couple hundred dollars, and then the labor, and who knows if anything's going to break as soon as we start taking things apart. Everything is really rusty. Of course he needs to change his filters too, but everybody needs to change their filters, and that's really going to be it. I'm not going to be able to get that heat exchanger in today. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think they have it in stock right now, and probably be working till like 10 o'clock. But can't get a hold of Mike right now because he is busy with a family matter, I guess. That's gonna be it for this video. If you enjoyed, like the video and comment on the video, or comment if you didn't enjoy. Thanks for watching. I couldn't really record anymore because she started flipping out at me, and I confirmed, I gave her the pricing and the work involved to clean the boiler and figure out the problem, and she called her son, who was kind of trying to figure the whole thing out. She said the price was too high. He said, yeah, that's too high. We definitely don't need to spend more than an hour there, and all this stuff. She started calling other plumbers for pricing, started screaming at me, so I confirmed whether or not she wanted to schedule it. She said no, very aggressively, and I asked her for payment for the time today, because I had to drive out there, and I spent 30 minutes there. I spent 10 minutes outside waiting for them to just answer the door, and she started screaming, refused to pay. So I told her to have a nice day and walked out the door, and she started to throw things at me.